Welcome back for day 3 of our 5 days of yoga. Today is all about backbending. So we're gonna move into all directions of the spine and open the heart and the chest. And we're gonna get started in our easy cross-legged seat, resting the hands onto the knees. And with your next inhale, roll your shoulders all the way up towards the ears. And exhale all the way down the spine. And softly closing down your eyes, arriving on your mat and arriving in your body. Today's practice will be quite challenging, but especially for all of us that are struggling with back pain or scoliosis like I do, it will be the best possible thing you can do for yourself, because by working on back bends and moving into the spine, we start to build a lot of spinal strength. And that is one of the most important factors for a healthy spine. We're also gonna create a lot of openness through the chest and the shoulders, which will improve our postures a lot. Now let's start to bring our full focus to the breath, and starting right away to take deeper inhales in through the nose and deeper exhales out through the nose. Deep breath in and deep breath out. Finding your rhythm of breath here that you can maintain throughout our practice, that is deep and steady, and becoming fully present right here, right now. And this is also the intention that I invite you to set for today, to make it your intention of trying as best as possible to stay in the present moment. It is so normal and so tempting to let the mind wander off and be in the future or in the past, and also trying to kind of like escape the pose when it gets tough or when we feel a lot of sensation. And I invite you to do the opposite, to try as best as possible to, whenever you notice your mind is wandering off, bring it back into your body. Bring it to all the sensations you can feel, and bring it to your breath. The breath is one of the best tools to ground ourselves into the present moment. Let's take one more round of deep breath here, inhaling in, exhaling out, and then keeping the eyes closed if you like. We're gonna bring the right ear towards the right shoulder for our neck stretch. Maybe finding just a little bit of movement with your head to feel where you can find the sweet spot, where you can really feel the stretch, and then staying there and taking your deep breaths into the left side of your neck. And then slowly dropping your chin to your chest and rolling the left ear towards the left shoulder. Find your sweet spot and then breathe into layers of tension in the right side of your neck. Deep inhale in, deep exhale out. And then rolling the chin back to the chest, lifting the head up, blinking your eyes open. Keep your hands on your knees. We'll move into our seated cat-cow. Inhale, lift your chin, arch your spine, look up. Exhale, lean back, round your spine, bring your chin to your chest. Inhale, lift your chin, arch the spine, open the chest. And exhale, lean back, holding onto your knees here to really send the weight back. Last time, inhale to arch, look up. And exhale, full rounding of the spine, chin to your chest. Now let's interlace the fingers, palms to touch, and then move into your wrists here, moving one direction and switching it out. And then flip your palms facing forward, arms reaching forward. Inhale, lift your arms up, look up, arch your spine. And exhale, bring your arms forward, round your spine, chin to your chest. Inhale to reach up, find length, look up. And exhale to round, chin to your chest. And last time to reach the arms up, look up, chin up. Exhale, release your hands, bring your palms to touch behind your spine, fingers interlaced. And then draw the knuckles towards the mat, find the arch in your spine again, lift the chest up and release. Bring your palms down, uncross your ankles and come into a tabletop position. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And let's move into our wrists. So either pointing the fingers to the sides of the mat, finding that rocking from side to side, or to go even deeper, bringing the fingers to point towards the knees, shifting forward and back. And your palms can lift off the mat here when you lean back. They don't have to stay glued in the mat. And then flipping the palms so that they're facing upward, fingers pointing to the knees, rocking forward and backward again, stretching into the back sides of the hands. And then place your palms back underneath your shoulders. With the next inhale, we'll drop the belly, lifting the chin, arching the spine, cow pose. Exhale, chin to your chest. Press the palms into the mat, around your spine. Inhale to arch. And exhale to round. And last time into our cow pose, so drop the belly, arch your spine, stay here. Let's walk the hands to the front of the mat for puppy pose, either bringing the forehead down or melting chin and chest down into the mat, making sure the hips are above the knees so that they're not back at the heels, but keeping the hips over your knees or even more forward. So if you feel like your chest is very far from the mat, then you can bring your hips even more towards the front of the mat to bring the chest closer into the mat. And we're gonna hold this pose for a few breaths. This is one of my absolute favorite poses to especially open the upper spine, which is the most rigid part of the spine. So it's quite hard to access and to stretch. But puppy pose targets exactly that neck spine area, and it opens the shoulders, the chest, and it's this counter stretch to sitting on the computer or on a desk. And it's so good. So staying here for 3 more breaths. And with the next inhale, we're gonna slide all the way forward, so bringing the belly down into the mat. The elbows are directly underneath the shoulders, feet are hip distance apart and flat in the mat for our Sphinx pose. We want to imagine now as if we want to slide forward on the mat, so use your palms and the forearms here as if you want to drag yourself forwards. The legs are super active. Lift your kneecaps off the mat. That's how much you want to engage your thighs here. And then draw your shoulders back, lifting the chin slightly. We'll hold here for 2 more breaths. This is a really active pose. Deep breath in, deep breath out. 1 more inhale. And exhale to release. Bring your hands underneath the shoulders. We'll prepare for our baby cobra. Legs come closely together now. Tops of the feet stay in the mat. You can bring your forehead down. We're gonna take a deep breath in through the nose. And with the exhale, start to lift your eyes, lift your chin, lift your chest, and then also start to lift your palms off the mat, drawing the shoulders back, for our baby cobra. Deep breath in, maybe lifting even higher. And with the exhale, we're gonna lower all the way down, and then you can bring your right ear into the mat. Extend your arms by your sides. And then coming back to center for our locust pose, Shalabhasana. Let's interlace the palms behind the spine. Bring the palms to touch together closely, and then lift your arms away from your body. Lift your chest, your chin. Keep your feet pressing down into the mat, maybe lifting the arms even higher. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Staying for one more inhale here. And with the exhale, lower down. You can bring the left ear down, extend your arms. Taking a little break. And next we'll do our one-legged bow pose, which is my personal hate pose. Really, I think there's no worse pose than that. Bend your right knee and then interlace your fingers around your right foot. If you cannot grab your foot, then you maybe want to take a towel or a strap or something. And then we're gonna press the foot into the hands to lift the thigh off the mat, lift the knee up and lift your chest up. So keep pushing the foot into your hand. We'll stay for 3 more breaths. Inhale in, exhale out. 2 more. Kick the foot into your hands. Inhale, exhaling. Last time, give it your all. Kick and exhale to release, relax. And we're gonna move to the second side, so interlacing the fingers around the left foot. Make sure your thumb is with the rest of the fingers, so they're all together. And then with the next inhale, we're gonna kick the foot into the hands to allow that motion to lift the thigh off the mat, lifting the chest up, holding here. 3 more breaths. Inhale in, exhale out. 2 more. Inhale, exhale. You've got this. Let's stay for 1 more breath, maybe kicking even more. And exhale to let go and release. And then bringing the hands underneath the shoulders, lifting ourselves back up and coming into a counter stretch, our child's pose. So hips to the heels, reach your arms long forward. And then we'll make our way into our first downward facing dog. So tuck your toes and lift your hips up, starting as usual with some movement and using this first down dog to check in with your body. How are your legs feeling? Maybe they're a little bit sore from yesterday. Find your breath. Make sure you keep a slight bend in your knees if you feel like your spine is rounding. And then with the next inhale, we'll lift the right leg up, 3-legged dog. Exhale, bring your right foot between your hands. Remember, you can always use your hands to bring the foot forward. Lower the left knee down into the mat. And like we did yesterday, we're gonna stretch into our hip flexors. Bring your palms onto the right thigh, interlacing the fingers, and then press the thigh away from you, lengthening the left hip forward and down, maybe staying here, maybe lifting the chest, dropping the head back, completely optional. I want you to focus on feeling that stretch in your hip flexor, because the hip flexors are an integral part of our back bending, because you have to imagine the body as one, right? So if we want to extend through the chest and find this back bend in our spine, the hips have to open, the front of the thighs need to open for us to be able to lean back. Now shift your hips back to come into a half split, just as a little counter stretch for a moment. Maybe you want to move your hips from side to side. We're not going to work into the hamstrings today. We did that enough yesterday. Rebend the right knee. We'll do 1 more quad stretch. 3 options. Option number 1, bring the left palm down, stay here. Option number 2, bend the left knee and hold onto the foot with your right hand, drawing the heel towards you. And option number 3 is to bring the right fingertips down and holding onto the foot with the left hand. So same hand to foot, turning the fingers to point into the same direction as the toes and drawing the heel towards your butt cheek. So choose whichever option works for you, wherever you feel sensation. It doesn't matter if you cannot reach your foot, it will happen in no time if you keep practicing. Now let's release the foot back down if you were holding onto it. Tuck your left toes, bending the knee and making a soft step forward, bringing both feet to the top of the mat, halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold over the legs. Inhale, let's rise all the way up, high mountain, palms to touch. And exhale, hands to heart. Again, inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold forward, forehead towards the shins. Inhale, halfway lift. Plant your palms. We're going to make a big step back with the right foot, lowering the right knee down into the mat and moving into this low lunge, maybe with a back bend. So interlacing the palms, bringing them onto your left thigh. And then keep pressing your hips forward while you press the thigh away from you and lift the chest, maybe dropping the head back. Again, that's completely optional and actually quite advanced. So don't worry at all if you cannot bend backwards here or bring the head back. And then we're gonna come out of the pose and shift back into our half split for just a moment, just a little counter stretch. Maybe it feels good to move the hips a little bit from side to side. And then rebend into the left knee. And we'll do our quad stretch with the 3 options, either placing the right palm down. Option 2 is to also bend the knee and draw the heel in with your left hand. And the third option would be to rest the left forearm on your thigh or in your mat and draw the right heel in with your right hand, choosing whichever option is accessible for you. Taking a deep breath in. And with the next exhale, if you have the foot, releasing it back down. We're gonna plant the palms down and step the left foot back into our high plank. And from there, we're gonna lower through chaturanga all the way down into the mat for another round of spinal strengthening. We will again find our locust pose by interlacing the fingers behind the spine, palms to touch. Inhale, lift your chest up, chin up, and then also float your feet off the mat. So we're gonna bring the legs up, try to keep your legs drawing together, lift your arms up even higher. Inhale in, exhale out. 2 more breaths, inhale, exhale. Last time, maybe lifting even higher, inhale in, and exhale to release, relaxing all the way down. Little break before we're gonna move into our full bow pose. So for the full pose, we're gonna bend the knees and grab your feet from the outside and then try as best as possible to keep your knees closely together. With the next inhale, we're gonna kick the feet into the hands to lift the thighs up, lift your chest up. Allow this movement to really draw your shoulders back, opening the chest, and then keep kicking your feet into your hands. Deep inhale, full exhale, and 1 more inhale in, and exhale to release, moving straight into our counter pose, child's pose. So send your hips back to your heels, reach your arms forward, allowing the spine to round. And then lifting back up, coming to sit onto the shins. We're going to move into our camel pose from here. And I also want to show you different versions and different steps because this is also quite an advanced pose. So I'll show you a few different options of how we can access this pose and you can try them. And if you feel like it's too much, just take a step back and try the previous option. So let's start with option number 1. Coming onto the shins, tucking all 10 toes under and making sure that your core is engaged here, and especially the glutes are really engaged and working. And then bring your palms onto your lower spine with the fingers pointing down. And imagine as if you have a wall in front of you. Press your hips into the wall while you lift your chest and lean back with your upper spine. Maybe you want to stay here. Maybe one step further is to bring your hands onto your heels. And if you want to still go further, you can drop your head back. And to come out of the pose, we're gonna bring the hands back onto the lower spine, untuck your toes, sit your hips back onto your heels, and then lift your head back up. And then you can close your eyes here and just taking this in for a moment. Sometimes the heart really starts to beat super fast when we do a deep back bending pose like that. And then I'll show you the next option, which is to keep the toes flat in the mat. And again, press your hips forward while keeping the glutes engaged. Hands are on the lower spine. We lift the chest, opening the heart, and maybe we bring the hands onto the heels, dropping the head back, holding it here. Keep breathing. Keep pushing your hips forward, keep squeezing your glutes, and gently start to lower your hips back onto your heels. Head is the last thing to lift. And again, take a moment here to just sit with the sensation, and especially dropping the head back can be super difficult, but also super intense for the body, because the throat is, for the nervous system, the most sensitive part. And so by opening the throat in this very vulnerable position that we put ourselves into, it can be really a lot for the nervous system. So don't worry at all if that feels scary or difficult. That's completely normal. Now let's make our way onto the spine. So come and lie down, bending the knees, touch your heels with your fingertips, keeping the feet hip distance apart. And then start to lift your hips up for our bridge pose like we did yesterday. And again, we want to avoid to stick out the ribcage here. We want to keep thinking of lifting the hip bones up. So finding again that long line from the knees to the chest. And you can now either stay here or move into our wheel pose. So going one step further would be to place the palms with the fingers pointing towards the shoulders next to your ears. And then press into your palms to lift yourself all the way up, coming into a wheel pose, which for me, when I started my yoga practice, was completely impossible. So if this is not happening for you right now, don't worry at all. If it is, then that's amazing. Then you're actually already super advanced. And take one more breath here. And with the exhale, slowly lowering first the head, then the shoulders, and then the spine back into the mat. And we will do one more round. So touch your heels with your fingertips and lift your hips up for our bridge pose. Or if you want to move into the wheel, then bring your palms next to your head, and then first lifting the hips up, then coming onto the crown of the head, and from there press into your palms to lift all the way up and start to walk your feet closer towards your hands. Maybe you want to come onto your toes here, lifting the heels up. One more breath, inhale and exhale, walking the feet forward. Tuck your chin in and then slowly lowering the head, the shoulders and the spine back into the mat. Finding our active rest by bringing the feet as wide as the mat. Drop your knees together, place one hand onto your belly, one hand onto your heart, and feel the breath moving through your body. Feel your heart beating. And from there we can hug the knees into the chest, rocking a little bit from side to side, and rocking all the way up for a counter stretch for all the back bending. Keep your feet flat, keep your knees bent, and then hug your arms around your thighs behind the knees and bring your forehead towards the knees and start to lean back. So hanging basically from your legs with your arms here. So shift the weight back, rounding the spine fully while keeping the chin tucked in to really find that full nice rounding into your spine, counter stretching all the back bending, all the compression of the vertebra. And then coming out of the pose and making your way to lie onto your spine, so lying all the way down. And we will now move into our plow pose through shoulder stand. If you don't feel like doing a shoulder stand or an inversion right now, then you can do the first option, which is Viparita Karani, lifting the legs up towards the ceiling, letting the blood flow into the opposite direction. If you want to come into the plow pose, we will first come into our shoulder stand by lifting the hips up, bringing your hands onto the lower spine. Super important, don't move your head in this pose. So maybe you want to watch first. Don't move your head to the side while you're in the pose. And then from the shoulder stand, we can start to extend the legs all the way behind the head. So bringing the feet towards the floor behind us. If your feet are touching the floor, then you can untuck your toes, maybe removing your hands from your lower spine and bringing the palms to touch, pressing them into the mat. And to come out of the pose, we want to move super slow, using the arms as brakes on the mat here, and then slowly lowering the spine and the legs back down into the mat, moving straight into our fish pose by bringing the hands underneath the sit bones, palms are flat in the mat, propping yourself onto your forearms, and then arch your spine and bring the crown of your head back into the mat. And there's no weight on the head here, so the most of the weight here is in the forearms. Point your toes, and then coming out of the pose, bring your spine back down and hug your knees into your chest for a final twist to neutralize the spine. We're gonna extend the arms into a capital T shape and then wrap the right leg around your left. Drop your knees to the left and bring your gaze over the right shoulder, grounding the shoulders down into the mat. Softening your breath. And then come back to center and switch it out, crossing the left thigh around the right, knees drop to the right, the head turns towards the left. Keep grounding your shoulders down, and then let the body melt into the twist here. And then coming back to center, uncross your legs, draw them into your chest, bring your forehead to your knees, wrap your forearms around the shins, inhale, and exhale to release into our final pose, Shavasana, extending the legs wide, the arms wide, palms are facing up towards the ceiling, feet are falling to the sides, and we start to let go of any effort, letting go of any restrictions to the breath, allowing the body to melt into the ground here, into the yoga mat, and then bringing the awareness to the third eye point between the eyebrows on the forehead, and allowing this soft warm light to melt away any tension from that area. So melting away the tension from all the tiny little muscles in the forehead, the eyebrows, the cheeks, the lips, the jaw, softening the whole face, and from there melting away any tension in the arms, the upper body, the spine, the legs, all the way down into the toes, bringing your whole body into a state insights from our practice. You can stay here as long as you like. If you want to come out of the pose, then you can start to find a little bit of movement, moving your fingers and your toes, softly moving your head from side to side, maybe finding a full body stretch, reaching your arms up above the head, and bending the knees and making your way onto your right side, using the right arm as a pillow for your head, and taking a moment in this cozy posture to thank your body for the practice and for being so healthy. And then with the eyes closed, we're gonna make our way back up into a cross-legged seat, bringing the hands in front of the heart. And then lift your hands up to your third eye point between the eyebrows for clear and kind thoughts. Lower your hands in front of the lips to speak kind words. And back to heart center to feel and give love and kindness. Thank you so much for joining me on day 3. We're more than halfway there and I hope you liked it. Let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, leave them down below or reach out to me on Instagram. And make sure to subscribe to my channel in case you still haven't done that. And like the video if you did like it. That would mean a lot to me. And I'll see you tomorrow for day 4.